The primary election in Washington just days away now. Ballots are due on Tuesday. 10 candidates are running for 3 seats on the Spokane City Council, and a lot of money has been spent on those campaigns. Our political reporter Casey Decker followed that money to see where it's all coming from.
All told, more than $435,000 have been spent on these campaigns. But before we get into who's donating to who, we should break down the types of donations. Traditional donations are called contributions. That's just when you give money directly to a candidate's official campaign. There's a limit on how much a group or person can spend. But there's another type of political spending called independent expenditures. This is when a person, or more commonly a political action committee, spends money on a candidate's behalf, with or without that candidate's approval. The money doesn't go through the formal campaign, and there are no limits to that kind of spending. So a PAC could buy an ad for a candidate regardless of whether or not they actually wanted them to, and they could buy an unlimited amount of them. You might remember that independent expenditures were a big part of the 2019 mayor's race. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent on behalf of both Nadine Woodward and Ben Stuckert. And in this election, the numbers are far smaller, but they're still big. In District 1, that's Northeast Spokane, 3 candidates are running. First, we've got Jonathan Bingle, the conservative candidate. When it comes to traditional contributions, he's raised about $38,000. Some of his notable donors include business leaders like Dwayne Alton, Carol Wendell, David McGann, and Anne Marie Lish. He's also got a lot of support from construction and development companies. But the total amount of money spent on Bingle more than doubles when you look at those independent expenditures. The state and national political committees for realtors have already spent more than $53,000 in support, buying ads and hiring people to knock on doors. So, all told, just shy of $92,000 has been spent on Bingle, even though he has just 125 unique donors. One of the 2 progressive candidates for the same seat, Jasmin III. He's raised more than $48,000 in contributions from 180 donors, and he only has $800 in independent expenditures coming from a progressive group called Fuse Washington. He's got a lot of big-name donors, including State Senate Majority Leader Andy Billig, Spokane City Council President Brian Beggs, Councilwoman Betsy Wilkerson, former Councilwoman Amber Waldruff, Spokane School Board President Jarrell Haynes, Habitat for Humanity CEO Michelle Girodot, and Pastor Nellie Mitchell. The other progressive, Nagmana Shirazi. She's raised just shy of $37,000 and also has only $800 in independent expenditures, also from Fuse. She has the most donors of any candidate for the seat with 203. She has donations from Beggs, Wilkerson, and Waldruff too, plus Councilwoman Kate Burke, who currently holds that seat, school board members Nikki Lockwood and Jenny Slagle, State Treasurer Mike Pelliciotti, and Gonzaga's Chief Diversity Officer Raymond Reyes. Moving on to District 2, Southern Spokane. There are only 2 candidates for this race, so both will automatically advance to the November general election, so neither will actually appear on the primary ballot, but a lot of money has already been spent here. Incumbent Betsy Wilkerson has raised nearly $52,000 from 257 different donors, and her contributors range almost the entire political spectrum. She's got big names in progressive politics like Billig, Beggs, Slagle, Councilwoman Lori Kinnear, former Council President Ben Stuckert, State Representative Marcus Riccelli, and State Commerce Director Lisa Brown. She has support from Spokane NAACP Vice President Curtis Robinson, Spokane Tenants Union Director Terry Anderson, and Pastor Nellie Mitchell. She also has support from typically conservative-leaning business leaders like Carol Wendell and Larry Stone, and former Council President candidate Cindy Wendell. She has a $500 donation from the Realtors PAC. That pales in comparison to what they're spending on conservative candidates, but it's notable given Wilkerson leans progressive and that her opponent is himself an actual real estate agent. That's Tyler Lemasters. He's raised just shy of $11,000 from 36 total donors. He's the only leading conservative candidate to receive no money from the Realtors PAC. His notable donors include State Senator Mike Padden and businessman Scott Wetzel. And finally, District 3 Northwest Spokane, with a whopping 5 candidates. The most money that has been spent on a conservative-leaning candidate is Mikelish. He's raised about $39,000 from 127 traditional donors. They include business leaders like Alton, Wendell, Wetzel, McGann, Mike Sondren, and Bill Butler. They also include political leaders like former County Commissioner Nancy McLaughlin, former Councilman Brad Stark, and former U.S. Attorney Jim McDevitt. But as with Bingle, the biggest chunk of change comes in independent expenditures from the Realtors PAC. They've spent more than $49,000 on Lish's behalf, bringing his total to over $88,000. Next, progressive candidate Lou Hill. She's raised just shy of $41,000 from a whopping 264 donors. That's more donors than any other candidate in any race this year. She also has $800 in independent money from Fuse Washington. Her names include others we've seen like Wilkerson, Burke, Stuckert, Lockwood, Slagle, and Robinson. She also has donations from NAAC Spokane President Keonta Duncan, human rights advocate John Lemus, and several people in the arts community. The other leading progressive is Zappone. He's raised just under $35K from 177 donors. Notable names include Wilkerson, Kinnear, Education District Leader Michael Dunn, State Senator Marco Lias, and former congressional candidate Tom Keefe. He also has a plethora of donations from union groups. Next, Kearney. She's technically got more than $20,000 raised, but almost all of that is her own money, and she has just 23 donors, none of which are really big names. Finally, Christopher Savage. He's raised just over $9,000 from 19 donors, also none that are really notable. So a lot of money is already being spent, and it's still just the primary. Remember to get your ballots in by Tuesday. Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.